with the excuses. I'm tired of it.
Speaking up for Arizona.
For the last time, I'm a hard no.
Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. KTAR News 92.3 and the KTAR News app.
It's Arizona's #1 talk show. Welcome to Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Second hour of the show.
Oh, it's the best of the hours.
And look at it, 5:05 Monday afternoon. Joining us now as she does every Monday at 5:05. It's Mondays with Meghan. Meghan McCain, the daughter of the late Senator John McCain, joins us every week. Hey, Meghan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Doing well. Good afternoon.
Let's get right to it. This is, I think, the big question of the day. We've seen Trump, immigration, border, what his plans are. And today we see that a professor at Brown University was deported. She had a valid
H-1B
visa. Thank you. And she left, I guess, the States to go to a funeral in Lebanon. And the person who died was the leader of Hezbollah. So she went to a terrorist funeral. And then she got back here, and then they deported her. Can you do that?
I mean, she had I'm not a lawyer in this, but she had an H-1B1 visa.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, she was teaching at Brown University. She's a doctor.
Just respectfully, why the hell is somebody who's hanging out at a Hezbollah funeral teaching at our universities? This is probably when I get a little, maybe a different perspective than you guys. But
she's
I went to
Lebanese.
Columbia.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
She's Lebanese, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're going to a terrorist funeral or the head of a terrorist organization, which since 1997 Hezbollah is considered a terrorist organization, I just don't really want you teaching in my college campuses. So I'm on the Trump side of this one. And I went to Columbia University, and I have seen, how it's just dismantled from any rational thinking in the past 5 years. And obviously in the past, almost 20 years since I graduated. And it's really disheartening. Especially the amount of money you pay for those kind of educations.
So can we fire up the House Committee on Un-American Activities? Can we figure out who you're allowed to associate with, who you're not allowed to associate with, who you can take pictures with, who you cannot take pictures with?
I don't want people. Maybe because I'm so close to it, just like the kind of things that are being done and said on college campuses right now, I have a very serious problem with it, and I don't understand why.
Well, she's a liver doctor. I mean, she's a doctor specializing in liver diseases. She wasn't
right, but she's not
protesting on campuses. She wasn't doing anything like that.
She's not a citizen.
No, she's not.
So a visa is a privilege. It's not a right. But
when you get these visas too, you have to declare you have to hold your hand up and declare that. And from my understanding, again, I'm not a lawyer in this space, but that you will not associate with any terror organizations or anything that could in any way hurt the United States of America. And I think that, again, this is for me is a completely different issue than deporting people who have come here, like dreamers and things like that. I'm much more dovish on this. But for me, I have extreme fear, a rational fear, as I think any American should have, of the kind of people the Biden administration and previously let into the country. And I just feel like if you're playing fast and loose with terror organizations, I don't want you in my country, let alone teaching my children.
Yeah, I think it's heading down the same path as, have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? Do you know anybody? It's the same thing where we're going to have
hope not.
Well, listen, I didn't think we'd get to this point, but we're certainly.
Could you, Bruce, tell me why you're okay?
I'm okay with it because I believe in free association. Free association.
But with terrorist organizations.
It was the funeral of the leader of Hezbollah, and if you're in Lebanon, there's probably 2 degrees of separation, for God's sakes.
I mean,
he was a cleric. He was a religious leader. I agree that Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. If you live in Lebanon, no, they're not. They're called the government. They're called the people that run the place. They have hospitals and schools.
But they're living by our rules. This professor came to our country to be by American standards, and American standards is they are a terrorist organization. My problem with
she admitted to it.
Yeah, and that's psychotic that she was teaching it. Just my opinion again. But one thing I really don't understand is if you say she went to a funeral for a Nazi party leader's funeral. I think we'd be having a different conversation, and that's my problem with this. Is there's for whatever
We'd
reason,
be okay with the Nazi.
Totally.
No, we wouldn't.
Or whatever. Put any other kind of extremist. Whatever, a Taliban leader. I just don't understand it, because I don't think people understand just how vulnerable our country is when it comes to domestic terrorism. And I just don't understand, again, if you don't love America and you're going to the funeral of a terror head, I just probably don't believe that you have the best interests of the people who are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to send their students to college. And again, final time I said it already, I went to Columbia University. This is very close to me. I've been really horrified about some of the things that I have seen, experienced, and been a part of protesting that have happened on college campuses. Being an American and coming here on any visa is a privilege. There are people who love this country, who want to be here, who have come here with channels that they probably shouldn't have, who want to be Americans, who want to add to the country, who love being here. Those are the people I want here. I don't want people hanging out at terror cell funerals, again, little and teaching kids.
Meghan McCain is joining us Mondays with Meghan. The other story that has come out about deportation and Trump, and so we had a few hundred Venezuelans who were deported to El Salvador. Now, I've tried to read into this. Doesn't look like they're good guys. Looks like they're kind of gang members and all that kind of stuff. All right. So here's the thing, though. The court said you can't deport them. And then he deported them anyway. So are we defying the courts now?
What could you explain to me why the courts? And again, I apologize, I'm not familiar with this. You guys didn't give me notes to read beforehand. Or I would have come more prepared. I apologize. But why did the court say? What was their reasoning?
I'm trying to look it up. You got it?
Because there was a challenge to the deportation. So the judge blocked removal until they could have a hearing.
And it also has to do with the centuries old law, the Aliens Enemy Act. And it looked like Trump on Saturday invoked that for the first time since World War II. The judge
had a 14-day temporary restraining order so that he could have hearings and hear the legal arguments. And they ignored that, and the planes took off anyway. The judge is threatening that he might bring the planes back.
Oof.
Wow. Look, I would have preferred, obviously, like everyone else, to have these people detained in a jail or wherever they hold people like that and have a trial. Because I do think when you're playing fast and loose with courts, that makes me more nervous. Just because, like you said, there are slippery slope arguments that I think are very valid. Nobody wants gang members and rapists here. I mean, if they're the same Venezuelan gangs that were in Colorado, I mean, some of those stories were like truly horrific. But yeah, I don't understand why they didn't wait until there was a judgment call.
Yeah, because they don't think they have to follow the courts is why. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Well, and legal experts are saying, like say Trump defies the court order.
Yeah, now what?
What can you do? Because in the good old days, I guess, the court's rulings, whatever it was, that was supposed to be the final word. And now people are looking into, well, what if he doesn't go along with it?
The judge says you can appeal my ruling. You can appeal the argument. You can't just ignore it.
They ignored it.
Yeah.
And the reason that they ignored it, they said, well, we think we're going to win the appeal. Well, okay, listen, I don't want these people here either, okay? These are not good human beings that came in from Venezuela, all right? They're gang members. Let's get them out of here. But all it's going to, if you don't follow the rule of law, they're just going to be brought back. So why not do it the right way the first time?
It also really negates the argument that we are a nation of laws, which is always the argument for deporting people to begin with. So if you're like using that argument for one way, but you won't abide to it another, I agree. It's like a horrible catch-22.
Yeah. It's again, we get into that slippery slope. Hey, I know you had one of your two-ways recently. I think it was earlier today, as a matter of fact, talking to some of your friends.
I had Democrat night tonight.
Yes, it was Democrat.
You could have joined, Bruce, or I think you're an independent, but yes.
I most certainly am. I would refuse to be a part of any political organization that would have somebody like me as a member. But only 27% of registered voters view Democrats favorably. It's the lowest rating since 1990. What did you find out from your friends? What are the Dems going to do to change that?
So So one of the things that's so fascinating about that CNN poll, and Harry Enton was talking about it today, is that it's not just that Republicans and independents don't like Democrats. It's that Democrats are pissed off at Democrats. Like, Democrats think that, like, basically the job that is being done by the people representing them is total garbage. And Gavin Newsom and his, like, new, I'm a moderate tour that he's trying to do with his podcast is from that poll and from another poll that was done is just exploding in his face because it's angering Democrats, and Republicans are like, I don't buy it. You're a total phony. So what I took away from that, and what I took away from my two friends tonight, is that Democrats want a fighter. They want someone who is going to go up against Trump and go completely guns blazing. They don't want a middle ground. They don't want someone who's going to, like, be polite. They're very angry at Chuck Schumer and people that are trying to find middle ground, which to me says, like, I don't think that a person like AOC could win a general election, but I think she sure as hell could win a primary. Mm-hmm. And that puts Democrats in a very interesting position because, again, the polling and the data shows that they aren't necessarily interested in winning. They're interested in, like, making Republicans bleed a little bit, which
losing on principle.
Yes. And, like, the stages of grief, as I've been through, like, both, professionally and personally in my life many times, I think Democrats are in the anger phase right now. And at a certain point, they will, like, level off to wanting to find someone who can actually bring them over the finish line. And I don't believe it's someone like Jasmine Crockett or AOC.
Fetterman.
I heard, well,
I'm going to keep saying it.
I heard another name the other day.
That. His brain doesn't work.
It works fine. It's
like,
okay.
How about this? Rahm Emanuel.
Oh, gosh.
I know everybody's throwing that around.
I keep hearing that one.
I keep hearing AOC is the new face of it.
She's
I'm seeing it in
no
polls.
chance.
What I keep hearing is that everybody likes the senators from Arizona.
Yeah.
I keep hearing that.
No, and
they
I think
can win a swing state. I mean, it's kind of interesting.
I think that Senator Kelly is certainly, raising the bar when it comes to getting out there and speaking against the administration. And pointing to what he thinks they're doing wrong. He sold the Tesla. He doesn't like Elon. So
yeah. Well, will they be able to run against Carrie Lake every time? Will that be a possibility as well?
Why do you have to bring that up?
Megan, thank you so much. Appreciate it again.
Megan.
You. Also, my booker is reaching out to you two to please come on my two-way show if you ever have time.
Wow.
I don't know if it hits with your because mine's live too. I don't know if it hits with your day job.
We would make time.
I'm sorry.
Make time for you.
And thank you guys so much.
Outstanding.
Talk to you next week.
That's Meghan McCain live from the belly of the beast there in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for her time. All right, Gaydos, would you rather go to a restaurant where you don't have to tip the servers? No tipping. Would you choose that as opposed to whatever the hell is happening everywhere else where they're nickel and diming us?
What are you cursing for?
We're talking about it next. We're Outspoken on KTAR.
Lund Mortgage. Man, they are the best. This is a great family-owned company through different generations of the Lund family. And, as it gets warmer, as we're moving past